Buongiorno, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today we have a dedicated review on all the new releases in the designer world. So I have here the intense version of the famous Dolce & Gabbana Devotion that everyone loves. I have also the very talked about new launch from Hermes, as well as the newest fragrance from the Aqua Liguria line from Guerlain. They revamped a new line and this is their newest launch. As usual, I will talk about the notes, longevity, sillage, how this fragrance smells to me, maybe some comparisons to other fragrances on the market, as well as my final recommendation to whom would this fragrance be suitable for. So if you want to know all about these fragrances, please keep on watching. But before we start, if you're new to my channel, hi, welcome. My name is Noura, and on this channel I mostly talk about fragrances. So if you are a fragrance lover, then please consider subscribing and also hit the notification bell so you will get notified when I upload any new video. I will highly appreciate it if by the end of this video you found it helpful or you enjoyed it, to give me a thumb up. That will help me a lot. And without further ado, let's start. As you can hear from my voice, I was very sick the last weeks, and although I could smell, but my voice was totally gone. And fortunately enough, I had a lot of videos that I did film before, so I was constant with my uploads. I will also dedicate a video on all the new releases for the niche world, so definitely stay tuned for that video. Now, let's talk about these new releases from designer world. Let's start with the one that I think everyone is excited about, and it is the new flanker of Devotion from Dolce & Gabbana. Now, I have a dedicated review on the original one. I will leave it linked in the description down below. And for those who don't know how the original one smells like, it is a very niche-like gourmand fragrance. It's very sweet, with a lot of candied orange, with some orange blossom, and a very heavy vanilla gourmand base. The inspiration behind this fragrance is the famous Christmas dessert, Italian Christmas dessert, panettone. You get the inspiration, but it doesn't smell like it. It's not like Milano Fragrance panettone, which smells quite authentic. This is more of a perfumey version because the orange blossom comes really through, and it is a very sweet fragrance. So this is definitely for gourmand lovers. I was shocked with this release because I think it's very different to the usual Dolce & Gabbana fragrances, and it is a very niche-like experience from the designer world. For me personally, this fragrance was definitely too sweet. So when they came out with the intense version, I was a little bit skeptical. But let me tell you, I personally prefer the intense version. It is still sweet, gourmand, but it has more complexity to it. They added a hazelnut note, which is not really predominant. You get it, but it's not like the most predominant notes that you get. You still get a little bit of the orange blossom, vanilla, and it's still a sweet gourmand experience, but it's more perfumey in a way, at least in my opinion. So I am actually a little bit not feeling the name. It's not really an intense version of the original one. If anything, to my nose, I feel like the original one is, when it comes to the feeling of intensity, is more on the original side than on the intense version. They both, on me, have almost the same longevity and sillage, so I really don't get the name, but I definitely appreciate this release because I find it much better than the original one. This nuttiness from the hazelnut is so beautiful, and I am a person who doesn't like orange blossom. Hazelnut is a note that I struggle with because sometimes it has this almost powdery sharpness to it. I can't explain it, which I don't like. If you know the fragrance from Trussardi, Galleria Vittorio Emanuele II, it's from the private collection from Trussardi, there is a hazelnut in that fragrance, which for me ruined totally that fragrance because it has this edge that I don't like. This is much more softer, much more enjoyable. perfumey and also sweet. I really appreciate it, to the point that I have actually a full bottle coming. If you didn't notice, nowadays I don't get full bottles. I usually get a travel size to test the fragrance, because I find it very wasteful to get a full bottle of a fragrance that is a blind buy or that I'm not very sure about. Anyway, highly recommend this one. Really love it. I wouldn't recommend it for those who were looking for something even sweeter or a more intense experience to the original one, because it can be very deceiving. But if the original one, you liked the idea, but you want it a little bit more refined, a little bit less sweet, I would definitely recommend the intense version. On my skin, it stayed 5 hours, which is almost exactly like the original one, before becoming very intimate fragrance. It does linger more on clothes. So if you really want more longevity and sillage from both of the fragrances, then definitely spray on hair or on clothes. And talking about not wasting money on blind buys, I blind bought the new release from Guerlain. This is Rose Amira. I have been waiting for it to be released on Sephora. I have actually these fragrances for quite a while in my collection, but as I said, I was very sick, so I couldn't film any videos because I had no voice at all. I mean, nothing came out from me. Anyway, so I just decided to blind buy Rose Amira, especially that I love the Guerlain Aqualigoria line. By the way, they revamped the line in the sense that now they have the original line, so these fresh citrusy fragrances, and added their other collection, which I don't remember the name now, and I think I couldn't pronounce it, so I will leave the name here, which included Santal Royal and all these actually very dark and deep fragrances. And I don't get it, because Aqua Ligoria from the name is aqua, you know, fresh, light. So adding these to the Aqua Ligoria line makes absolutely no sense to me. Anyway, now Rose Amira is a very dark, deep rose. I don't think that you can see the color of the bottle. It is almost dark purple, almost black. And this is how this fragrance smells. This rose is very dark. For me, it's definitely a damask rose and has this patchouli base. So a typical patchouli rose fragrance, but it is dark to the max. When I looked up the notes on this fragrance, you have in the notes here rose, patchouli, and olibanum and musk. What you smell is a woody patchouli and rose combination. But as I said, made in a very dark way. So it's 100% a fragrance that is suitable for this time of the year. So the timing is actually quite nice to release this fragrance now in autumn, because it definitely gives this autumn vibe to it. It's too dark for summer, if you know what I mean. And although I am saying that it is a typical like dark patchouli and rose combination, there is something about it that is different. So I went on Fragrantica to see the notes and also what people say this fragrance smells like. And from the notes and from what I've read, people compare this one to the extrait version from the private collection from Guerlain. So they have, I think, 4 or 5 extrait fragrances. And one of them is Rose Extraordinaire, I think it's called. And a lot of people say it smells like it. I never got my hands on any of these extraits. I can't wait to test them. I find it a little bit fortunate, but also kind of strange to release very similar fragrances. One that cost, I think, 400 or 300 something euros for a bottle, and one that is much cheaper from the regular line. So it doesn't make any sense. Anyway, I have to mention it because a lot of people said that they are similar. Also for reference, a lot of people compared it to a Radical Rose from Matière Première. And I get it because they have the same vibe. But I wouldn't say that these are similar fragrances. They belong to the same category of fragrances, but they are not similar. I think I prefer Rose Amira to Radical Rose. I'm not a fan of Radical Rose, to be honest. What I'm getting from all of these comparisons is that this is a standout. This is a release that doesn't smell like any other releases. And it even doesn't belong to the same category as the rest. In the dry down, this fragrance has almost a velvety touch to it. So it's almost like, you know, these velvet roses. I absolutely adore the artistic creation of this fragrance. And maybe if I have tested this fragrance a couple of years ago, I would have fell in love with it. But unfortunately, I am now over this patchouli rose combination. I'm tired of it. I think I've decluttered the last fragrance that has this combination from my fragrance collection. So for me personally, this was not a successful blind buy. But if you love a very dark, deep rose with this very heavy patchouli base, then definitely check this fragrance. Or if you tested the extrait version from Guerlain, please tell me in the comments down below if this is really dupe or similar fragrance to that one. So again, from an artistic point of view, this fragrance gets a 10 out of 10 for me. I have to say that it's not for everyone. So then don't blind buy this fragrance. Definitely test before buying it. When it comes to longevity, this one doesn't disappoint. This is why I feel like it's not belonging to the Acqua Liguria line in any way, shape or form. It has strong longevity with, I would say, a moderate to strong sillage. So definitely a statement maker and a fragrance that is not a safe blind buy, as I said. Now let's move to the very talked about and already a little bit controversial fragrance from Hermes. And sorry if I am butchering the name. I think it's Barénia. I don't know. And honestly, I knew that I'm not going to love this fragrance because it's not a scent profile that I personally appreciate. This is a cheap fragrance and it is extremely strong. Very, very strong fragrance. And I mean, I sprayed this one, only one spray, and I was in a closed environment. I actually had to scrub it off because it was overwhelming, and I mean one spray. So when it comes to longevity and sillage, I am telling you, this is a monster. And it is a sweet take, I would say also a modern take on this DNA. So a cheap fragrance, very woody. It has a sweetness from something called miracle berry. I don't know if we are talking about the same thing, but there is a berry that when you eat it, everything you eat afterwards tastes sweet. I think it's called miracle berry. I don't know if it's that one. Anyway, you can definitely get a unique smell in this fragrance, and I think it comes from that and a very heavy dose of patchouli and a kegel. So it has this synthetic woody sharpness to it that I personally don't like. A Kegel wood, in my opinion, has been used and overused in the last years, especially from Quentin Biche. This is very, very, very heavy, very, very heavy fragrance, and I have to be totally honest, I don't like it. It does smell Hermes to me, and there is a reason that I don't have any Hermes fragrance in my collection. It's because I don't like Hermes fragrances. I'm so sorry. I just don't like them. I have to say that I didn't test any of their like private collection, so I can't say anything about that. But I have to say that I appreciate that they came out with a new fragrance that is not past pleasing. I find it very refreshing. Sometimes we just need something that is different, and this is definitely different. And I think I would have appreciated more if it wasn't so strong. It is like a punch in my face. So it's a fragrance that I would love as a sillage from far away. Up close, it's just suffocating for me. I couldn't handle it, and I feel like people around me couldn't also. So anyway, this is definitely not a safe blind buy. It is, again, from an artistic point of view, a very appreciated release, I would say. So not for everyone. You have to be okay with the scent profile, so cheap. You have also to be okay with like eaglewood because it's quite predominant here. And I can't tell you how this miracle berry smells like because it smells very different here. I don't know what to tell you. It has a very strange, unique sweetness to it. If you ever tasted fresh dates, red fresh dates, they leave in your mouth a very strange feeling. So they leave almost like a film that is velvet. I can't explain it. If you never tasted fresh dates, you will not know what I'm talking about. Anyway, this is how this smells to me, like this feeling. I feel like I'm making no sense here. Anyway, this fragrance from an artistic point of view, I would give it an 8.5 maybe. And I would say definitely test this one before buying because it's not a safe blind buy and it's not a fragrance that a lot of people would love, even if they love cheap fragrances, in my opinion, because it's definitely a different take. And before finishing this video, I will quickly mention 2 new releases that I did already a dedicated review on. You will find it in the description down below. But since we are talking about new releases, I find it only appropriate to talk about these fragrances very quickly. If you want something a little bit more in depth, check the description down below. The first one is I Want You Le Parfum. I did a buying guide on the line, actually. And Le Parfum, in a nutshell, is definitely an intense version of the original I Want You. It's more vanillic and has more presence to it. It has also more sweetness in a way. The pear note really comes through here. And the jasmine is not as predominant as in the original one. So it's less floral, it's more vanillic and sweet. The next one is Si Passione Intense. And this is, again, an intense version of the original one. And when we compare it to the one that was released in 2020, it's more vanillic. So it's like the same case with the Si Intense from the regular line, which was in the last year's formulation, more of a vanillic take. So vanilla is the predominant note here, and it is extremely similar to Valentino Born in Roma, the regular one, not Le Parfum. Very similar. I really appreciate it, but I do have Valentino Donna Born in Roma, so I don't feel like I need it, and I feel like you don't need both of these fragrances in your collection. And if I have also to choose between the two, I would go with Valentino. It's just have something more about it. But again, it's a good release and I love the new bottles. I personally appreciate this release more than the one from 2020. These were all the new releases from the designer world. Definitely stay tuned for my niche new releases. I have 14 new niche fragrance releases that I'm going to talk about in my next video. So don't forget to subscribe and also to hit the notification bell so you'll get notified when I upload any new video. Tell me in the comments down below, did you try any of these fragrances? And also, which new release in 2024 was your favorite? We are approaching Christmas, and as you all know, I always do a recap of the whole year during Christmas. So I do the best releases, worst releases, like most used products. I mean, everything that I've learned and I've tested during the year, I do a summary of in December. So I'm very curious to know which new releases was your favorite one this year. Thanks a lot for watching and see you next time. Ciao.